Mabrina Mabrey just admitted to something that's got the entire WNBA side eyeing her, and not in the fun, post-game fit check kind of way. After the Indiana Fever's matchup against the LA Sparks, where Caitlin Clark took yet another hit, this time in the form of a full-body shove after the whistle, Mabrey confessed she might have overreacted. But her explanation? Let's just say it's not winning any awards for believability. Because apparently, Mabrey claimed she was protecting her teammate. You know, by shoving Caitlin Clark across the court after play had stopped. Totally normal, right? If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. This wasn't just some competitive bump or on-court heat-of-the-moment scuffle. It was a deliberate, non-basketball move, post-whistle, with all eyes on them and with the ball no longer in play. And yet, Mabrey's apology came dressed in all the usual PR-safe language. I let my emotions get the best of me. It wasn't personal. I was just trying to stand up for my teammate. Cue the slow clap. But fans aren't buying it. Because this isn't the first time Caitlin Clark has been on the receiving end of targeted aggression. It's not even the fifth time. It's just the latest chapter in what's becoming an unsettling pattern. And everyone's asking the same question. Why does it feel like the league's brightest rising star keeps getting singled out? Caitlin Clark hasn't just arrived in the WNBA. She's taken over. The minute she stepped onto the hardwood, cameras followed. Ticket sales spiked, and suddenly, teams that were playing empty rows were selling out arenas. She brought attention, sponsorships, and a whole new audience. You'd think that'd be good for everyone. But instead, it's like she showed up at the WNBA's dinner party, and half the guests decided to throw food at her. Mabrina Mabrey's shove is just the latest in the string of eyebrow-raising hits Clark's taken this season. Let's not forget Kennedy Carter's blatant body check, or Diamond DeShield's intense exchanges, or Angel Reese's thinly veiled jabs both on and off the court. There's a fine line between competitive edge and hostile workplace, and somehow Clark's always the one getting pushed over it. Sometimes literally. The Mabrey moment hits differently, though, because this time it wasn't even subtle. There wasn't any in-game justification, no fast break or tough screen. This was an after-the-whistle, full force, two-hand shove that looked more like a bar fight than basketball. And then came the apology tour, which, spoiler alert, feels a lot more like damage control than genuine remorse. And let's talk about why Mabrey would even feel the need to protect a teammate. Was Caitlin Clark doing anything remotely aggressive? No. Was she taunting or showboating? Also no. All Clark did was exist on the court as the league's most high-profile rookie in a game where tensions were clearly already simmering. Somehow, that was enough to trigger a moment where Mabrey decided to go full linebacker. The problem isn't just the shove. It's the excuse. Because when you say you're protecting someone, you're implying that there was some threat. What threat did Caitlin Clark pose in that moment? Was she holding a clipboard? Did she insult someone's playlist? Or was she just outperforming? And that's the heart of the problem. Clark's presence alone seems to generate this strange mix of admiration and resentment. She's breaking records, pulling in fans, and basically redefining what it means to be a rookie in the WNBA. And with that success has come a bizarre undercurrent of hostility from other players, especially veterans who, let's be honest, probably aren't thrilled to see a newcomer hogging the spotlight they've been grinding for years to reach. But here's the kicker. It's not like Caitlin Clark asked to be the face of the league. She just showed up, balled out, and did exactly what every athlete is supposed to do. It's not her fault the cameras follow. It's not her fault the fans wear her jersey. And it's definitely not her fault that some players are letting their jealousy turn into aggression. And yet, the WNBA's response? Mostly crickets. A light foul call here, maybe a fine there. No suspensions, no real public accountability, no strong statement from the league saying, hey, this kind of behavior isn't okay. The silence is louder than the shove itself. It makes you wonder, if this happened to someone else, if a rookie shoved a vet after the whistle, would the response be the same? Or would the league be quicker to step in? Because right now, the message being sent is pretty clear. If you're Caitlin Clark, expect to get hit, and expect no one to step in. That's not just bad optics. It's dangerous. Meanwhile, Mabrina Mabrey's apology continues to make the rounds in post-game interviews, sprinkled with "that's not who I am" and "I've got love for the game" type language. But there's a difference between being sorry you did something and being sorry you got caught doing it. And when your apology tour comes after the video goes viral, the timing speaks louder than your words. Let's not pretend this incident lives in a vacuum. It's part of a larger pattern. The truth is, Caitlin Clark is too successful, too fast. And some people just can't handle it. The idea that a white, blonde, straight-out Iowa rookie is suddenly getting more press than seasoned veterans who spent years building this league, it stings. That kind of visibility comes with perks, endorsements, TV time, but it also comes with a target on your back. The jealousy narrative isn't just fan theory. Multiple former players and league insiders have quietly acknowledged that resentment among veterans is real. Some feel like they laid the groundwork, and now Clark's swooping in and reaping the rewards. It's the age-old story. Someone new walks into the room, and suddenly they're the center of attention. Not everyone claps for you when you win, especially when they think they should have won first. But here's the deal. Caitlin Clark didn't build a system that rewards star power. She just showed up and became the biggest star in the room. And the response from some players has been less "game recognizes game" and more "let's knock her down a peg," literally. So where does this leave Mabrina Mabrey? In the court of public opinion, she's already been handed a guilty verdict, not just for the shove, but for the way she tried to justify it. Her PR-approved apology isn't changing minds. It's raising more questions. Like, why are we still pretending this was intentional? Why are we acting like protecting my teammate is a valid reason to bulldoze someone who wasn't even posing a threat? The fact that this happened while Clark was out with injury just makes it worse. She's literally not at full strength and still getting targeted. And with her return now looming, everyone's watching. Will there be another incident? Will the league finally step in? Or are we about to see more fouls, more shoves, more thinly veiled excuses? Honestly, this whole storyline could win the pettiest rivalry disguised as competitive energy award. Because let's call it what it is. It's not about defense. It's not about basketball. It's about ego. And instead of rising to the occasion, some players are just shoving their way through it. And the irony? The more they hit Clark, the bigger she gets. Every foul, every snub, every non-apology apology only fuels a narrative that she's the one to watch. And like it or not, she is. So here we are. Mabrina Mabrey tried to take a stand. Instead, she gave us a shove that's now going to live on highlight reels for all the wrong reasons. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, will return from injury with more eyes on her than ever, and probably a bigger target than before. But if history has shown us anything, it's that she's not going anywhere. In the end, there's a not-so-subtle moral buried in this mess. Jealousy makes terrible defense. And fake apologies? Even worse offense. Let's keep it going, because the situation? It's deeper than one player, one shove, one headline. What's unfolding around Caitlin Clark isn't just a personal grudge or a rough game. It's starting to look like a symptom of a league that doesn't know how to handle a cultural shift, and a group of players reacting with frustration, jealousy, and increasingly hostility. Mabrina Mabrey's shove was just a match. The fuel has been piling up all season. It's wild when you realize how much Clark has had to navigate off the stat sheet. We're talking about someone who's just months into her WNBA career, still adjusting to the league, the pace, the physicality, and instead of just focusing on growing her game, she's been forced to become a lightning rod. Every foul against her gets analyzed. Every reaction gets dissected. Every stare down becomes a Twitter war. And yet, she's still producing, still showing up, still handling the pressure like a seasoned pro. Meanwhile, veterans like Mabrey are cracking in ways that say more about them than her. Let's get real. The moment a rookie becomes more famous than the league itself, it triggers something. There's this unspoken code in sports, a hierarchy. Rookies earn their stripes, veterans hold court, and the media attention tend to follow the pecking order. But Clark shattered that the second she stepped into the league, and a lot of players just weren't ready for that. And yeah, you could argue some of this backlash is about race or aesthetics or privilege or legacy, and you wouldn't be wrong. But even if you stripped all that away, what you'd still be left with is ego. The raw frustration of players who spent years grinding in the shadows, only to watch a newcomer take the spotlight like she brought her own lighting crew. What makes Mabrey's shove especially symbolic is how avoidable it was. She didn't trip over Clark during a drive. She didn't get tangled during a screen. No, this was after play. Dead ball. Everyone was resetting, and she still felt the need to make a physical statement. That says everything. And then to try to explain it away with the I was just protecting my teammate line. Girl, protecting from what exactly? A ghost foul? An invisible trash talk? Clark literally wasn't doing anything aggressive. She wasn't chirping. She wasn't flexing. She was just existing on the court. But that's what seems to set some players off. Her very presence. Her ability to draw crowds, move merch, trend on social media, and command media attention simply by being herself. That kind of natural magnetism doesn't sit well with everyone, especially in a league still fighting for consistent coverage and credibility. So what happens? The frustrations bubble over. A screen turns into a body check. A foul turns into a shove. And an oops, my bad becomes a sanitized Instagram apology that makes everyone roll their eyes. Let's also talk about how the league itself has handled this. Spoiler, not great. The WNBA's silence on these incidents is almost louder than the fouls themselves. There's no consistent disciplinary action, no league-wide statements reinforcing sportsmanship, no acknowledgement of the very clear targeting happening to one player over and over again. This isn't just about protecting Caitlin Clark. It's about protecting all players. Because when the line between competition and aggression gets blurry, someone's going to get hurt. And if the league keeps pretending it's just part of the game, they're going to regret it. It's not about turning the WNBA into a no-contact league. It's about accountability. Physical play is one thing. Open hostility and reckless contact, entirely different category. And when one player keeps ending up on the receiving end of that hostility, you've got a problem. And fans? They're noticing. The average viewer isn't dumb. They can spot patterns. And the pattern with Clark is pretty obvious. She gets hit more than most, and her opponents often look a little too satisfied when it happens. Mabrina Mabrey just happened to be the one who made it too blatant to ignore. The push, the lack of remorse in the moment, and the weak apology after, it all painted a picture that's hard to explain away. And let's not forget, Mabrey admitted it. She didn't deny it. She didn't claim a misunderstanding. She openly said she let her emotions get the best of her, that she was reacting, that she lost her cool. And while honesty is great, it also confirms that she made a conscious decision to step outside the bounds of normal basketball behavior. It's like she told on herself, and then expected forgiveness just for owning up to it. But when the consequences are basically non-existent, what message does that send to everyone else? That it's okay to take a shot at Clark, as long as you drop a vague sorry afterward? We're watching a weird moment in real time. A player who is single-handedly elevating the WNBA's visibility, and a league that seems unsure of how to protect her, manage her rise, or handle the resentment it's caused. It's not just a Caitlin Clark problem. It's a league culture problem. Because while Clark may be the flashpoint, this tension has been simmering for a while. The league is growing. The eyes are increasing. The money is finally trickling in. But the internal politics haven't caught up. Veterans feel underappreciated. Rookies are thrust into the spotlight before they've earned their stripes. And the league leadership hasn't figured out how to balance that power dynamic without letting it turn toxic. So instead, we get moments like this, a shove after the whistle, an apology that feels more like PR cleanup, a fan base split between calling it out and defending it, and a league office that shrugs and moves on. What's worse is that Caitlin Clark doesn't respond. She doesn't retaliate. She doesn't talk trash. She doesn't even really defend herself in the media, which, in a twisted way, just adds to frustration for some players, because they can't provoke her. She keeps rising above, and that only feeds a narrative that she's the league's golden child. The reality is, Clark isn't invincible. She's young. She's human. She's playing against some of the toughest, most physical defenders in the world. And the league has to decide whether they want to thrive or just survive. Because if this keeps happening and the league keeps turning a blind eye, they might lose more than just a few fans. They might send a message to their stars, both current and future, that success comes with punishment, not protection. And that's not a sustainable model. Not for growth, not for talent retention, not for the health of the league. Mabrina Mabrey will move on from this. She'll keep playing. She might even get cheered by some fans who think she was just keeping it real. But this moment will follow her, because once the highlight reels get cut and the context gets erased, all that remains is the image, a powerful shove, a dazed rookie, and a league that said nothing. The WNBA has been begging for attention for years, and now that it's finally here, not everyone knows what to do with it. Enter Caitlin Clark, a star so big she shifted the entire media landscape just by showing up. But instead of a league-wide embrace, she's getting shoved. Literally. You'd think that players would see the bigger picture. That Clark's rise means bigger checks, more televised games, sold-out arenas, and long overdue mainstream visibility. But instead, we're getting this old-school, gatekeeping energy that screams, you don't deserve this yet. And that's where the resentment comes in. Because to some veterans, Clark didn't pay her dues the way they did. She didn't spend years grinding in relative obscurity. She got the magazine covers, the Gatorade deal, and the press tour straight out the gate. And while none of that is her fault, it still creates tension, especially among players who spent a decade waiting for a fraction of that spotlight. So what do you do when you feel overlooked? You act out. Maybe it's subtle, like a cold post-game handshake or passive-aggressive social media post. Or maybe it's a little more obvious, like shoving the league's biggest cash cow after the whistle and calling it protecting your teammate. Make it make sense. But let's take a step back and ask a bigger question. What would happen if Caitlin Clark wasn't Caitlin Clark? What if the same shove happened to a rookie without a $1 million Nike deal? Would anyone care? Would it even be caught on camera? Would Mabrina Mabrey feel the need to release a statement? Probably not. That's what makes this situation so layered. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's a personification of every marketing campaign the WNBA has ever dreamed of, young, dynamic, wildly talented, and already a household name, which means every foul against her isn't just a basketball move. It's a narrative beat, and some players are tired of being cast as the villain in that story. But here's the hard truth, if the shoe fits. Mabrina Mabrey isn't the villain, but in this moment, she sure played the part. And the lack of real consequences just amplified the problem. If players see that they can take shots at the league's poster child with no suspension, no league-wide response, and no reputational damage, what's stopping the next person? We've seen this kind of dynamic before in other sports. Look at how LeBron James was treated in his early years, or how Tom Brady became the guy everyone loved to hate. Superstar status always comes with backlash, but the difference is, in most leagues, the institution protects its stars. Not because they're playing favorites, but because they understand value. And Caitlin Clark? She's not just valuable. She's the WNBA's best investment in years, which makes the league's passivity almost surreal. Are they afraid of being seen as biased toward her? Trying too hard to appear neutral? Either way, that's not how professional leagues work. You can be fair and still protect the people who are literally growing your bottom line. Meanwhile, Mabrey's team didn't say much either. No real condemnation. No team-issued statement. Just a low-energy wave of, we're focused on the next game. Translation, we're hoping this dies down by Friday. But the fans? Oh, they're not letting this one go. Social media blew up with side-by-side clips of the shove, zoomed-in slow motion, and dramatic music, like it was an episode of The Bachelor. WNBA edition. Comment sections turned into war zones. Half the crowd saying Clark needs to toughen up. The other half point out how wildly inappropriate that move was. And in the middle of it all, Mabrey's apology, barely holding water. It's almost laughable how often players now follow the same template. Step 1, do something reckless. Step 2, issue a vague apology with words like passion and intensity. Step 3, pivot back to, we're just focused on basketball. It's a cycle. And fans are catching on. What they're not catching, accountability. Because at the end of the day, you can't build a league on highlight clips alone. You need narratives people want to follow. And right now, the dominant storyline isn't about elite-level play. It's about whether or not the newest star can make it through a game without getting physically targeted. It's not a good look for the league, for the teams, or for the players making those hits. And it's not just about Clark being famous. It's about her being different. Her playing style is different. Her personality is different. She doesn't get into fights. She doesn't retaliate. She doesn't even really lean into the drama. And because of that, she stands out even more. To some people, that makes her easy to root for. To others, it makes her an easy target. Mabrina Mabrey picked a bad time to fall on the wrong side of that line. Because here's the thing. She's not a villain by trade. She's a legit player. A tough guard. A competitor. But this move, this moment, it's not going to age well. No matter how you spin it. She's going to be remembered for that shove. For being part of a very public moment that pulled the curtain back on the WNBA's internal tensions. It's already a defining moment in this season. Not because it was so violent or unprecedented, but because it was so obvious. This wasn't a scuffle. This wasn't chippy play. This was a clear act of frustration. And the fact that it happened to Caitlin Clark, of all people, took it from bad foul to major headline. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are these incidents part of healthy competition? Or has it crossed the line into something else? Subscribe for more deep dives, breakdowns, and every messy moment the sports world throws at us. Because with this league, the drama is just getting started.